Animals are often the centre of our world and our best friends. They give us fun memories, enjoyment and love. But just as we look after them, they look after us too. Dogs can tell if there's something wrong and they comfort us. There are guide dogs for the blind, and animals in general are just very therapeutic. Just stroking the fur of cats and dogs is enough to calm people down. Everybody has heard of therapy cats and dogs, but any animal will do, just like these rabbits I met. How did the organisation first begin?
It started in 1998. My father was in a nursing home and he asked me to take my new house bunny to visit him. And his brother-in-law, who was in the Irving unit of Bexhill Hospital, heard about it and said he wanted to see Rosie. Why couldn't he see Rosie? And he kept on and on until a member of staff said, well, you better bring Rosie in. We don't mind children on the ward. And I said, but Rosie's a 6-month-old house-trained bunny. Great laughter. And she said, well, your uncle's seriously ill, very ill. You better bring her in to show him. And while I was there, a lady walked in with 2 care dogs. And she said, oh, that's a good idea. Why don't you have caring bunnies? And that's how it started.
What is the purpose of Bexhill Furry Friends?
The purpose of Bexhill Furry Friends basically is to, well, one, we have some fun taking our rabbits to visit people. We help with therapy by getting the residents to talk if they won't talk. And with the children, it brings them out and calms them down for lessons.
What are the benefits of the rabbits?
It seems to get the residents in nursing homes talking. We go into youth organisations and teach children how to look after their animals properly, which means they treat them properly. We won 2 awards for the work we do with the children, teaching them how to look after the animals properly, and for going into the residential homes to make sure that the residents enjoy the stroking, and it gets the residents talking to each other as well as to us.
If you go into a home and there's an old lady been in there and she's had to give up her cat or a dog, you take a rabbit in and it gives them comfort. It's like therapy really. It's sort of, you know, sit and stroke a rabbit and you can forget that you're in a home. You can think that you're back in your own sitting room and stroking your cat or your dog or something if you're stroking a rabbit.
I went to see the amazing work that Bexhill Furry Friends do at Airridge House, which is a care home, with Sue and her 5-month-old rabbit, Cookie.
Did you have rabbits when you were a child?
No.
No?
And how much more though in size and weight?
She won't grow anymore now.
Oh,
No, she's fully grown.
you're slipping off,
you falling off,
dearie? Are you happy?
She's very happy, I'm sure. She likes the fuss. You like us bringing the rabbits in to see you?
Yes.
Yes. See them?
Well,
Yeah.
it's unusual, makes a change.
That's just it.
Rabbit has no tail at all, tail at all, tail at all. Rabbit's got no tail at all, just a powder puff.
That's it.
How frequent are your visits?
Some of them are once a month. That's the sort of most of them are about once a month, and the others range anything from once every 3 months to twice a year.
What is the purpose of your visits?
To bring some fun to the residents of nursing homes, and for them for sort of therapy, especially if they've got Alzheimer's, it takes them back to their childhood and gives them something to talk about. If we're going to schools, it calms the children down and we teach them how to look after their rabbits properly.
What is the point of the harnesses the rabbits wear?
One, once the harnesses are on, they know they're working and they're under command. Two, it gives them confidence that someone is there, they're not out on a limb. And three, the insurance demands it.
How do you train the rabbits?
My way of training them is just stroking them, being friendly with them, putting them on people's laps and taking them off, just putting them for a few minutes, or introducing them to people and then putting them on laps.
Use your voice. You mimic mother rabbit by growling and hissing when you're cross and making a kissy sound when you're pleased.
Can you give us an example?
Yes. No. When you're cross and when you're pleased.
What do you train the rabbits?
We train them to stay, wear the harness, and we train them to sit on the laps and stay, and they know when they're on their tails that they have to stay there.
Does it take long to train the rabbits?
About 3 months.
How many breeds do you have in the organisation?
Many different breeds. Probably about 8 or 9, I would have thought.
What awards have you won?
The Hastings Award, the Lord Brett McLean's Hastings Award for Hastings Day, and Pet Carer of the Year for Hastings and for Bexhill last year, 2011.
How do you raise money for your organisation?
It's all by donations, and twice a year we have a coffee morning, and we try and sort of do it through that way, but most of it's by donations from various events we go to or wherever we go.
What does the money go towards?
It goes towards the insurance because we have to carry £1 million worth of public liability insurance to do the work we do, and a top up of £330,000 of insurance because we work with children, and also for the rabbits' vaccines because they have to be vaccinated against myxomatosis.
How many rabbits do you have working?
27.
Where do you get most of your rescue rabbits from?
They're either dumped on the doorstep or we get phone calls, can you come and get this rabbit? We don't want it anymore.
People that don't want them anymore, Sue's found them in the road, in the forest, in the middle of Battle High Street, all sorts of places, but mainly where people just don't want to look after them anymore. The children were very likely grown up and they said, oh, we don't want the rabbit, and sort of abandoned them on our doorsteps.
Where do you keep the rabbits?
They live with their individual handlers in their own homes or in the gardens.
How do people find out about your organisation?
By word of mouth, and we're very, very often in the paper because we've been to somewhere and somebody's seen us in the paper and they've phoned up or they found out from somebody else what we do, and just that. We don't advertise or anything, so it's just basically from word of mouth.
The nursing homes, they pass it on to each other that we visited.
Do care homes and schools contact you if they want to see the rabbits?
Yes, they just give us a ring. They give the secretary a ring and make an arrangement for us to go and visit them.
Does each rabbit go to the same place or do they go to different places?
We've got 1 or 2 rabbits that go to the same place each time.
You can't take the same rabbit to the same home twice in a row because they always remember that, oh, we saw this one last month. All those rabbits you've got, can't you bring us a different one? They'll say. They'll remember more than you do that they've seen that rabbit before, and they'll tell you what that rabbit does. So you chop and change, but you know what rabbit goes best to what home that we do.
How do you decide what rabbit is suitable for the place you are visiting?
You're handling the rabbits all the time, so you know their temperament, and you've seen them work in these various homes, so that if you get a new home, you usually take a rabbit that's a little bit docile and that's very gentle, And then if you think, oh, they're all right, we can take a noisy rabbit or busy rabbit, which plays with toys and which will be likes to investigate people's laps. And you just sort of, if you've got a hospice, you take a quiet rabbit, because then it'll lay on the bed and be no problem. If we go down into the wards, you want somebody they'll just lay there.
If there's blind people there, then we tend to take the bigger rabbits because there's more for them to feel. And also the bigger rabbits don't mind being sort of hands on their heads or hands around their faces. Some of the rabbits are actually trained for it.
How can you tell what a good rabbit is to use in the organisation?
When you're holding them, if you can stroke a rabbit when it's in its hutch, or you can pick it up and cuddle it, and if I bring it in and sort of have it in my arms and cuddle it, and then it stays and sits there, and then but if we've got sort of baby rabbits or youngsters, we can sort of train them from young. But when you get a stray in, you work with it for a bit. You don't take it straight out. You just see, you bond with, or try and bond with it to see if you can sort of, if it's going to work and be a furry friend.
Why do you only work the rabbits for 1 hour when you go to the care homes?
Because of the heat. It gets so hot in there, and then I think an hour going around different people's laps can be a bit sort of exhausting for them, because they usually flop out in the cage when they come home, and just an hour is enough. But it's so hot in this time of the year, it's just, well, we don't do a lot this time of the year because the heat and the cold and the heat. It's not fair on the rabbits.
When do you retire the rabbits?
When they've told you they've had enough.
How can you tell when they've had enough?
But they don't want to come out anymore, they don't want to go in the baskets. They just, usually when they're fairly old though, they seem to enjoy it, so we just keep going till they tell us they don't want to do it anymore.
How long can the rabbits work for?
The oldest working rabbit we've had was 11 when